Alright, pardon the mess up here. These are the next two things I'm going to deal with. I am going to go ahead and build the Star Destroyer in the next day or two. And then I'm going to start on the X-Wing. One thing about both of them, my goal is not necessarily to paint them and build them properly. My goal is to build them the way a beginner would. In other words, this might get some paint on it, because I don't think the raw plastic, well, the raw plastic's a decent color, but it's not a good thing in my opinion. And I might try something on this one to try to make it look better. This guy isn't going to get paint. I know there's two of them in there. They might get a base coat of paint like you could from a rattle can, and that would be it. I do have decals, aftermarket decals, that I'm going to apply to the small one. Maybe not the big one. The big one does come with decals, so I might just use the decals that came with it. I don't know if the small one comes with decals in this box. We could always open it and find out. This is one of those I got at Barnes & Noble, and don't worry, I didn't pay that price for it. If you catch Barnes & Noble right, they have some clearance sales, and their clearance sales are really, really nice. Okay? I'm looking for my tools. They were in my take to work box. I sometimes take something to work with me. I never actually work on it because work is work and there's no free time at work to do much of anything. Okay? I don't remember what's in this box, so let's take a look. We have the little X-Wing, we have the big X-Wing, we have this huge sheet, and we do have stickers there, so these must be decals, and we do have decals for the little one. So, I have decals for both. I'm going to use decals for both. I'm going to build this right with what's in the box. If anything, it might just get a base coat of paint and that's it. Part because I want to build something Star Wars. Also in part because I don't have a lot of free time. So putting a primer coat on it and then weathering it, that would be fun because it's about all the time I got. Okay? My life is too hectic and chaotic, although it got a little bit better a few days back. And again, I want to build something Star Wars. I want to see what this is like. Maybe it looks like there might be more than one in there? No, there's not more than one. Just lots of parts. Okay, well this will be fun. I got two to build in here and I got a Star Destroyer. This is what I'm going to work on. Again, it should be quick. Talk to y'all later. Alright. You've seen the out-of-box review on this. Most of you have had your hands on this. I've got 5 or 6 of these things, so why not build one? Let's see what we build one. Let's see what we can do with the raw plastic. No outer paint. Compared to the Revell Star Destroyer, which Miri did not get, BB got it, so it's not being destroyed. Okay? And we'll see what it looks like when it's put together. Some of you wanted me to compare the Zvezda, which I know I always say wrong, to the Bandai. I do have the Zvezda sitting right here. It will get compared to the Bandai. It's just going to wait a few days. I'm terribly backlogged with too many things. Okay? But anyhow, I'm going to put this together. I'll be back once I get it together. The directions are in the box lid. It doesn't have many parts. And then we'll discuss what we're going to do to make it look a little bit better. Talk to you in a bit. Alright, well, this went together really fast. In fact, I think it was like 20 minutes fast. I had to glue it here. I put glue in the superstructure up at the top. I don't think the tip would have held together without a little tiny bit of glue. Visible seam lines, not very many, which is really surprising considering how tiny this thing is. And how small some of these parts are. Could this thing be lit up? I know people have lit the engines in the back. All of these wouldn't be too hard. It is kind of hollow inside, so you do have room. You could put some really tiny SMD LEDs in these 3 and run some fibers for those 4. But the superstructure here, the only way you could light the sides of this thing is clear. Like these 2 side panels right here, you could easily resin cast them in clear. Well, maybe not easily. I'm not that skilled. Okay? But there are people out there who could. They are making a clear version of this ship, which would make lighting this really, really easy. Detail-wise, the detail's really good. I'm trying to figure out how to bring those detail out without making it look funny, because this is a huge ship and that's a tiny model, and you don't want to over-exaggerate the detail. It's going to look out of place. So I'm going to let this sit overnight while I try to figure out how I'm going to take care of this. Okay? But it is very nicely detailed, very tiny. The worst seams I have are on the bottom of this. There's a fingerprint there if you go looking. I could leave it squeezed overnight with this, but I don't think it'll make a difference at this point. Okay? One side came out pretty good, the other side didn't. And again, this was just a build to see it. And if I wasn't rushing, I would have done a much better job on this. Much better. And it came out nice even then. Really nice. And I can't complain about this guy at all. Okay? It's worth the money if you get one. I can say that. Now to detail it and make it look big, although it's tiny. We'll see how to do that. I'll be back later with... Alright everybody. I did a no-no. I didn't film what I did to this after I built it. Okay? I like how this guy came out. He's pretty up close to the light, so he's a little bright. But I like how this guy came out. I did some shading on it, and I want to make a video on how I shaded it, because I think it's just dark enough to look right. So I'm going to try to replicate it with the Death Star model kit here. So we're going to go ahead and build a Death Star real fast. I don't think this is overly complicated. I don't think it's very much harder than the Star Destroyer here. It's the same sort of plastic, about the same color. So what I did to bring out the accents on the Star Destroyer should work on this just fine. So I'm going to build myself a Star Destroyer. I mean a Death Star. I know I'm way behind on building these because these have been out for a while. I just haven't had a lot of free time in my life. It again, doesn't look like it's going to take too long. We've already done reviews of these. People have already seen them. So I don't think I'm going to take forever and a day to explain what I'm doing. It looks like it's going to build a fairly good sized model kit. I do have like 4 of these things, so I will be able to build others later. I know there's a clear version of this coming out real soon, which would make lighting it real easy. And it comes with a clear Star Destroyer Millennium Falcon, if I remember correctly. So we have that coming out soon. Okay? And taking a quick look at the parts, there's lots of great details on the interior part of the Death Star. Lots of great details. Okay, and there aren't that many parts, so this should go together pretty quickly. If I have any trouble, I'll come back and explain the trouble. But there's plenty of videos of that out there. Alright? So let me get going on this. I'll be back in a little bit. And when I get back, I'm going to show you what I did on the Star Destroyer. But I'm going to use this as a model. Okay? Back in a bit.